On a tense and mist-filled morning of August 22, 1485, the quiet countryside near Bosworth in England stood frozen in anticipation, as if the land itself knew that by the end of the day, history would be rewritten in blood. Because this was not just another clash of armies, but the final, निर्णायक chapter of the devastating Wars of the Roses, a brutal civil war that had torn England apart for decades, where loyalty meant nothing, betrayal was common, and the crown had passed through hands stained with the blood of rivals. And now, at the center of this storm, stood King Richard III, a ruler whose rise to power was as controversial as it was ruthless, a man haunted by rumors that he had seized the throne through deception and possibly even orchestrated the disappearance of his own nephews, the young princes who were never seen again, leaving behind a legacy clouded with suspicion and fear. Yet despite all of this, Richard was no coward king hiding behind walls. He was a warrior, a commander, and a man determined to hold on to his crown at any cost. While across the sea, another story had been unfolding, the story of Henry Tudor, a man who had spent most of his life in exile, far from the land he now sought to rule, a man whose claim to the throne was so distant that many dismissed him entirely. Yet what he lacked in royal bloodline strength, he made up for with patience, strategy, and the ability to gather support at just the right moment. And so, with the backing of foreign allies, particularly from France, Henry set sail and landed in Wales in early August 1485, bringing with him a modest force of around 5,000 men, a number that seemed almost insignificant compared to the forces he would soon face. But as he marched inland, something unexpected began to happen. Men started to join him, not necessarily because they believed in him, but because they doubted Richard, because England was tired of war, tired of uncertainty, and ready for change. And so Henry's small army slowly grew in both size and confidence as it advanced toward its destiny, while Richard, upon hearing of the invasion, acted quickly and decisively, gathering a powerful army estimated to be around 10,000 strong, composed of experienced soldiers, loyal nobles, and heavily armored knights. And he moved to intercept Henry near Bosworth, choosing a position on higher ground that gave him a clear tactical advantage, as from there he could see his enemy approach and control the flow of battle. And everything seemed to favor the king. Yet beneath this surface of strength lay a dangerous uncertainty, because nearby, watching and waiting, were the forces of the influential Stanley family, led by Thomas Stanley and his brother William Stanley, men who commanded thousands of troops but had not yet declared their loyalty, standing apart from both armies like silent judges who would ultimately decide the outcome. And Richard knew this all too well, which is why he had taken a ruthless precaution by holding Thomas Stanley's son hostage, a move designed to force loyalty through fear. Yet even that was not enough to guarantee where the Stanleys would stand when the moment came. And as dawn broke and the battle began, the air filled with the deadly hiss of arrows and the clash of steel as the two armies collided with overwhelming force. Richard's troops advancing with discipline and strength, pushing Henry's forces backward as the ground shook under the weight of charging cavalry, and the cries of men echoed across the field, creating the impression that the king's victory was only a matter of time, while Henry himself remained behind his lines, guarded and observant, knowing that he could not win through direct confrontation alone, and that everything depended on timing, on patience, and on the unpredictable decision of the Stanleys. And then, in the midst of chaos and bloodshed,
Richard saw what he believed to be his moment of triumph, a brief opening in the enemy lines where Henry appeared vulnerable, exposed just enough for a decisive strike. And in that instant, Richard made a choice that would define his fate forever, choosing not to wait, not to rely on his army, but to take matters into his own hands, leading a bold and reckless cavalry charge straight toward Henry, aiming to kill him and end the battle in a single devastating blow. His armored figure cutting through the battlefield with ferocity, striking down opponents and driving forward with unstoppable determination as he came closer and closer to his target. And for a moment, it seemed as though history itself held its breath, as if the entire outcome of the war rested on those few seconds. And then, just as victory seemed within reach, everything changed. Because at that critical moment, the Stanleys finally made their move, and instead of supporting the king, they turned against him, their forces crashing into Richard's flank and transforming his daring charge into a fatal trap, leaving him surrounded, outnumbered, and cut off from his main army. Yet even in the face of certain death, Richard refused to flee, refused to surrender, choosing instead to fight on with relentless fury. His horse killed beneath him, forcing him to continue on foot as he battled through the mud and blood, striking down enemies even as the circle tightened around him, his final moments marked by defiance and determination as he stood alone against overwhelming odds until he was ultimately struck down, bringing an end not only to his life but to his reign as king. And with the death of Richard III, the battle came to a sudden and decisive conclusion. The crown he had fought so desperately to keep, now lost among the fallen, before being retrieved and placed upon the head of Henry Tudor, right there on the battlefield. A powerful and symbolic moment that marked the beginning of a new era, as Henry was proclaimed King Henry VII, effectively ending the long and bloody Wars of the Roses and ushering in the rise of the Tudor dynasty, a new ruling line that would go on to shape the future of England in profound ways, as Henry moved quickly to secure his position by marrying Elizabeth of York, uniting the rival houses and bringing a fragile but much-needed peace to the kingdom, while the body of the fallen king was stripped, humiliated, and displayed as a grim reminder of the consequences of defeat. And though centuries would pass and historians would continue to debate the true nature of Richard's character, whether he was a villain shaped by ambition or a misunderstood ruler caught in a brutal time, one fact remains unchallenged, that on that fateful day at Bosworth Field, everything changed in a single decisive moment, when a king chose to risk everything on one final charge and paid the ultimate price, forever altering the course of English history and proving that sometimes the fate of a nation is decided not by armies, but by a single, irreversible decision made in the heat of battle.